Tucker Carlson has received some pressure recently for the fact that he loves to demonize vaccine mandates, talking about those who push for vaccine mandates as tyrants effectively. Joe Biden is trampling on your rights by requiring you to get vaccinated or get tested. They always leave that part off. And he doesn't like when you bring up the fact that that is the system that Fox has, actually a harsher version of that system. Take a look at when it's brought up. He's on a show and he's asked about this. Here is how he responds.
I have a question here about Fox News.
Yeah.
You said Fox News has no vaccine mandate. But according to Newsweek, the company requires unvaccinated employees to submit to daily COVID testing, which is stricter than Biden's mandate, which calls for weekly testing for businesses that employ more than 100 people. Is Fox News denying the civil liberties of its employees by being stricter than President Biden?
I don't know. I mean, you should probably ask Newsweek. It sounds like they got a pretty precise handle on what's happening.
Hey, if it's wrong, let me know. If I'm wrong,
yes, if I haven't, it's completely wrong, as I noted the other night.
Fair.
I'm not,
So what is the policy? Can you tell us the policy?
I'm not qualified to speak for the company on this because I don't run the company and I'm not, I'm just an employee of the company.
You weak little coward. I can't speak for the guy. We're not asking you to represent them. You're not speaking before the board. You're just explaining the policies. I'm just an employee at TYT. I don't determine what snacks we have, but if you ask me which, I can still tell you which. That's not representation, that's just acknowledging reality. And he won't do it, Brett. He hates this battle. That's why he lashed out earlier about it when Biden talked about the vaccine mandate. He really thought he'd scored a win. And I just wanna say, we just had that news cycle of supposedly like the Rogan Gupta thing where like Gupta had no answers. And that's the biggest news story in 48 hours. Where's this? Is this gonna be as big? Him fleeing in terror from a simple, honest question from this person on the show?
First of all, Gupta did have an answer. Don't get me started on that. They go on the show and they want to be happy and accepted on the show, and then they like get sad and they kind of agree. They don't want to disagree, but I don't think Gupta was so terrible in the 2.5 minute clip that I saw. For this,
but what about this?
Tucker Carlson can tell you what the vaccine protocol is at Fox. There is no reason for him not to. He just doesn't want the secret to get out that it is stricter than Biden's mandate / protocol, right? And there is no vaccine mandate at private companies. There is a mandate for you to have to test if you're over a certain size, which Fox News is. Fox News, all their underwriters, their risk assessors, everybody in HR has gotten together and come up with a system so A, they don't get sued, and B, the people that are there don't get sick because this thing passes around. The next part of that interaction with Tucker is equally hilarious because Tucker says that why should we test people for their COVID status? We don't test people for their AIDS status. And that host that was questioning him says, well, you can't get AIDS by sneezing. And Tucker's like, well, I don't want to ask people and he just dodges. He has no good argument. And this is what happens. It's the same dynamic as like, it's very hard for people to become very successful comedians. And once they do, they get to a point where no matter what they say, you already think they're funny. The same, like, sure. Oh my God, I'll giggle before they start talking because I know this is a funny person. Yeah. And maybe someone funnier hasn't convinced you to like, this is the funny guy right now, so you don't laugh. And then they get lazy. This is what's happening with Tucker Carlson. You have someone who's gotten to the level where he no longer needs like even wily, like successful arguments, ones that got people to say, oh, that kind of relates to an argument that I believe in. No, he is at the point where he's comparing COVID to AIDS.
Yep.
Yeah. Something that's wildly contagious.
He's just a rando on Twitter.
That's for which there's a vaccine versus something that's not as contagious and definitely not airborne, for which there's no vaccine. But he is so lazy, and you can tell that he's so shocked and upset because guess which outlet he did start? The Daily Caller that he's on. and someone has the audacity to question him on these things. But even then, it's not a level playing field because that guy can't say, Tucker, what is the policy there? And he doesn't point out that, like, by not answering, you're admitting that you're being evil right now. You're admitting that you're willingly keeping the truth from us.
Yeah. Well, and why? One thing is because, look, he doesn't want to have an honest conversation about vaccine mandates, but this is also very clearly about his own cowardice. He works at a place that is doing a harsher version of what he criticizes. And they have on Fox spent a year and a half bringing on people who do not comply. That's the hashtag, do not comply, that they love. Here's a gym owner who opened before he was supposed to. Here's a person who refuses to wear a mask. Here's a person who won't get vaccinated. How great are they? He has an opportunity to put his actual career where his mouth is. If this is tyranny, he can talk about it. And if Fox fires him or he has to quit, that would be a demonstration of the sort of patriotism that they've been lauding all year. But he's never going to do this because this isn't about his values. This isn't about his positions. This is about money, accruing an audience that he desperately does not want to lose. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.